Morning, everyone, and thank you, Mrs. John Baptist Aaron, and just acknowledge the presence of my friends from Flow, Jeffrey Baptiste, General Manager, and Ferdinand Frampton, and also PS Karen Prevost from the Ministry of Tourism and Urban Renewal. I'm going to try to bring you up to date on a couple issues as it relates to the tourism industry. When we last spoke on October 30th, we indicated the work that DDA was doing along with the Ministry of Tourism as it relates to assessments. We, at that point in time, had visited about 65 properties. It's now up to 69. So there's just about 4 of the 73 properties we have on record that we have not been able to either visit or communicate with because the proprietors are either not available or we don't have access to the property. Either the property is locked or road access to the property is compromised. Just to give you a little information that we provided in working with the folks from the World Bank, that we have assessed damages in the amount of EC 54 million for the tourism industry and losses in the amount of 191 million. The heaviest of those damages is linked directly to the tourism sector, or rather the hotel room stock in the tourism sector. Currently, we have about 243 rooms that are currently serving the market. That's about 27% of pre-Maria room stock. We had about 909 rooms before. We have about 39% or 358 of those rooms that we're considering severely damaged. And as such, we do not feel that they will be back servicing clients before 12 months. And we also have about 34% or 308 of the rooms that we think will come back little by little. And our estimation is that about 10% of that room stock will come back on a monthly basis starting in December. So we currently have 243. We anticipate of the 308, say 30 come back on a monthly basis through September. That'll take us to about 540, 550 rooms, if all goes well. As previously mentioned, in terms of the cruise sector, initially we thought the season was lost, but based on the pace of some of the site rehabilitation and some of the work that the ministry is doing and the other stakeholders are doing, we have identified January 1 as a key milestone, a date to which we are planning to be in a state of readiness, and we are communicating that to all the stakeholders. The cruise sector amounts to about 25 million in spend. And so of the losses, the 191 million that I mentioned, the cruise would be about 25 million of that. We've also identified that the tourism services sector, which comprises tour operators, vendors, other support services like taxis and the like, have suffered about $4.3 million in damages. And so when we look at the total recovery, damages, building back better, rebuilding according to climate change resiliency codes and the like, we anticipate that it'll be upwards of 70 million EC. So that's an update as it relates to the assessment, the hotel stock, the state of the industry from a damages, loss of income perspective, and what we're looking like in terms of times to come back in terms of servicing the market. From an access perspective, I want to provide you with a little context because that seems to be a very important thing, specifically as it relates to air access. So I'm going to take you back to December 2016 and kind of walk you through a chronology of events. At the end of December 2016, there were 75 regular scheduled flights into Dominica weekly, and that accounted for 3,029 seats. 90.7% or 68 of those flights were to Douglas Charles, with Liat operating 35 of those flights. Coupled with 10 regular weekly ferry services, which had 3,870 seats, there were 6,899 scheduled seats coming into Dominica. So that's December of 2016. In January of 2017, ANT, who was servicing Martinique at that point in time, discontinued their twice weekly service. And then fast forward to June, Liat changed its schedule to 4 daily flights and 2 flights operating 3 times weekly. That reduced their number of flights to 34 weekly. Then we moved to July of 2017. When we introduced Trans-Island Air, they began their scheduled charter service between Barbados, George Charles and St. Lucia and Dominica up to 5 times weekly, adding 75 weekly seats into Douglas Charles, and direct flights from St. Lucia, which had not existed in more than 3 years. As part of the summer scheduling, the Winair ANT ATR service was increased to daily between Guadeloupe, Douglas Charles, St. Martin, and San Juan. Winair also had Dash 6 service into Canefield that operated daily from St. Martin. Then we had another carrier, Sky High, who began twice monthly scheduled charter service between Santo Domingo and Douglas Charles. And of course, Seaborn also operated an additional flight on Mondays, increasing to 8 flights weekly and 272 seats available into the market from San Juan in July and August. In July and August, Express des Îles implemented its high season schedule, increasing from 10 to 14 crossings weekly through August 27. Then in September 2017, we had Hurricane Irma. So we had new schedules which were announced and implemented by most of the carriers for the first 5 days of September. However, the passage of Hurricane Irma resulted in a halt in services from Winair at Douglas Charles and Canefield. That was 19 flights, or 767 seats. Air Sunshine, up to 3 flights, or 57 seats. And Express Carrier, 2 flights, or 14 seats. So the new regular schedule, effective for the month of September following Irma, compared to what should have been at the start of September, represented a 30.4 decrease in flights from 69 to 48, and 26.7% decrease in seats from 3,141 to 2,303. Then on September 18th, we had Hurricane Maria, which of course, as we know, had devastating impacts on Dominica and has resulted in additional schedule changes. Liat began relief flights shortly after the storm, but these flights were not scheduled service. Express des Îles also resumed scheduled service following Hurricane Maria on September 23rd. Express Carrier and Coastal Airlines also resumed service to Canefield as the situation to the USVI began to normalize. Now, on October 9th, Liat resumed limited commercial service to Dominica, operating 1 flight daily, then adding a second flight 4 times weekly. Seaborn and Winair resumed services to Douglas Charles on October 11th for Seaborn and 23rd for Winair. Winair's service was reduced to 3 times weekly instead of daily. Now we move to November 2017. Liat announced that the number of flights to Dominica will increase to 5 starting on November 16th, resulting in 90.9% increase in weekly seats from the initial post-Maria schedule. That figure is 1,008 seats on a weekly basis, and Liat's schedule is expected to run through March of 2018. So the current LIAT schedule that is in effect from November 16th is expected to run through March of 2018. Additionally, TIA and Sky High have announced the intention to resume service, creating an additional 75 to 94 seats weekly, and Express Air will return to its 2017 master schedule of 10 crossings weekly from November 18th. So to summarize, the projected schedule effective from November 18, when compared to what went into effect on September 11th, represents a 4.2% decrease. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on what went into effect post Maria. And that is that we now have 1,008 seats coming in via LIAT on a weekly basis. And that is down from 3,141 seats. So we're less than 50% of the capacity. However, what we are doing is continuing to work with LIAT, specifically with a goal to reinstate 2 additional flights. Flight 523, which would be a late afternoon, early evening flight from Antigua, and Flight 524, which is a late evening or early evening flight from Barbados. And what those 2 flights will do is allow same-day service coming in from all the source markets. That would be from the UK and Europe, as well as from Canada and from the US. Currently, the issue of high winds is impacting the rescheduling of 523, and we continue to work with the folks at Diaspora and all the folks that are informed as such to help us communicate with LIAT and to put a plan in place that can help with the rescheduling of Flight 523 in particular as soon as possible. So just to summarize, as it relates to LIAT schedule in particular, you currently have Flight 773, which is daily, which departs Antigua at 6 a.m., arrives into Dominica at 6:40, and then departs Dominica at 7:10 onward to Barbados. You have Flight 362, which operates on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and that comes in from, it departs Barbados at 9 a.m., gets into Dominica at 10, departs Dominica at 10:30 onward to Antigua. You have Flight 302 and 303, which operates Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, departs Barbados at 9:30 a.m., into Dominica at 10:30 a.m., and then returns to Barbados, leaving Dominica at 11:10 a.m. You have Flight 364, which operates on Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It leaves Barbados at 2:40 p.m., arrives into Dominica at 3:40 p.m., and then leaves for Antigua at 4:10 p.m. And you have Flight 323 and 324, which operate on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from Antigua, departing at 3 p.m., into Dominica at 3:40, and then departing back to Antigua at 4:10 p.m. Seaborne continues to operate once daily flights, leaving San Juan at 11:30 a.m., getting into Dominica at 1:15, and returning to San Juan at 1:45. And as mentioned previously, Winair and AR&T now operate Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, the Pointe-à-Pitre, Dominica, St. Martin, San Juan, and return flights. They do that 3 times weekly. Okay, so I'll move on now to Beyond Access and move into some of the marketing activities and communication activities. As you would have probably heard, post Maria, we adopted a position of looking at niche products and communicating those products and marketing those products. And we spoke about 3 of them. We spoke about voluntarism, We spoke about diaspora or visiting friends and relative travel, and tourism for a cause. Well, I'm happy to announce that just last Friday we officially announced the first two of the voluntourism packages. One with Cobra Tours, which will involve the cleaning of the Indian River, and so visitors are encouraged to come and stay at hotels in the area and liaise with Cobra Tours, who will then pick you up on pre-scheduled days, and you can assist with the cleanup of the Indian River. And the second tour is with Cool Breeze Tours. That's Mr. Arlington Moise, and that has to do with cleaning, in particular of, I believe, segment 10 of the Waitikubuli National Trail. And so a similar package where you come and you stay in hotels in the area. He will pick you up and take you onto the trail where you can assist in the clearing of debris as it relates to the Waitikubuli National Trail. And so it is our intention to develop many more of these niche packages. A lot of them will have to do with the clearing of the over 300 miles of hiking trail that Dominica has. But others will also deal with assisting the education sector, the health sector. And so if you're into early childhood education, it is our intention, we have already communicated with the Ministries of Health, the Ministries of Education, to understand what official projects they have going on so that we can further amplify that message and couple it with a stay at a hotel that is open, the ability to transport the people to that location, and for them to provide some of their time and some of their expertise to assist Dominica in the recovery and rebuilding efforts. As it relates to diaspora or visiting friends and relative travel, that focuses on two things. One is the cry or the outcry or the sentiment to come and visit your family and assist them through the recovery process, and the other surrounds what we do well in certain instances. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it as part of the Will Creole Music Festival, but it is our intention to develop events, and we're hoping to announce something in December, and we are certainly working on what will be a great carnival, and hoping that our longtime partners for Carnival will be able to partner with us once again. But it is our intention this week to submit the first draft through the Dominica Festivals Committee and the DDA board to the Minister and to Cabinet so that they have an idea as to what we're thinking Carnival next year will look like. Just as it relates to communication, DDA is in daily contact with its PR and marketing representative firms in the source markets which we serve. That would be Canada, the USA, Germany, German-speaking territories, the UK, and France. And we continue to take the pulse of the market as it relates to the news and discussions about Dominica. We know the press in those markets are looking for factual information, and we're continuing to provide that. And we have distributed press releases to our reps and to the Caribbean media. And to assist consumers and Dominicans residing abroad interested in how Hurricane Maria has impacted the tourism industry, as the PS mentioned, we have developed a new website, dominicaupdate.com, which we will be using to provide more details on the destinations as well as the tourism industry's recovery and rebuilding effort. This site is in a WordPress format and allows us to provide more details, which we do not feel would be best communicated on the Discover Dominica site. So we will be getting into more details of hotel openings, as it relates to their fixes and repairs, site openings, And certainly we encourage people to review that site and to amplify its existence in their posts on Facebook and other social media activity. We, of course, continue to make social media posts. However, we've been very guarded as to what we post. We're looking for stories of positivity and inspiration, and therefore have posted on topics of healing and hope, illustrated by the cleanup. We've posted on the Jacko Parrot, the sighting of the Jacko Parrot. Certainly some post-Maria versus now images to show the progress in clearing up of debris and the opening up of sites and communities. And certainly school children starting school, just to show personal resiliency. We've also taken the position to not boost some of these posts, as we feel that if you have a vested interest in Dominica's well-being, you will seek out this information. We learned from the fact that we trended #1 on social media after Tropical Storm Erica with images of devastation, and we want to limit that type of press. And so we're guarded in what we post, but we are producing factual information to go out to the press. And just by way of update in terms of some of the marketing activities, because the world does go on, DDA and Dominica has been represented at DEMA. DEMA is the Dive Equipment and Manufacturers Association show. As you know, diving industry is a big industry for our tourism sector. And so our agency out of the U.S., along with longtime diving expert Simon Walsh, represented Dominica. And from all indications, it was good to have someone present at the stand who went through the hurricane and could firsthand give information about what happened, but could also give firsthand information about the fact that they had gone diving, and give the potential tour operators and visitors information about what to expect in coming to Dominica. We would like to include the cleaning up of dive sites as one of the voluntourism packages as well, because as you probably heard previously, the dive sites were impacted at greater than 45 feet. The coral and the sponges were in fact impacted. But below 45 feet, all dive sites are in good condition. And we think that if we can get some divers down here to help with the cleanup of those dive sites, that would be a great thing. We also were represented at World Travel Market, which is one of the largest trade shows in London. Our agency, Brighter, along with Miss Kala Amo, represented Dominica. And so we had a series of meetings with tour operators and with press there. And again, it was particularly interesting to have someone who had experienced the hurricane here and could give firsthand information about it. DDA and the Ministry of Tourism, prior to Maria, were in fact doing their work, and we had a series of press trips, and resulting from those press trips at the CTO Awards, we had a number of special mentions. The Best National Newspaper feature in the UK, we had Amanda Linfoot of the Times, who had a piece titled Mud and Sweat in Untamed Dominica, which was special mention. We also had, in the Best Travel Trade feature, we had Mira Detani of Travel Weekly, whose article was entitled Picking Up Steam, was a special mention. And just this week we have had 2 of our articles by Josephine Matthias to make the final in Canada. And that is the article Activities Seclusion Abound in Dominica. That was in the Toronto Star, and also the article Let's Visit, Stay Active or Chill Out in the star.com. We also hosted the first tour operator. Mr. Patrick Murbach is the product manager for the Caribbean for Der Touristik Deutschland. This is one of the better producing tour operators in Germany who came down and spent about 4 days with us. visiting various areas of the island. And to summarize, he has said that he will start to place Dominica back on the schedule starting January 1. So we have good news as it relates to the hoteliers that are doing business with Dare Touristic, that come January 1, 2018, he will put back Dominica on the schedule and actively market Dominica. They also intend to do a webinar for over 120 travel agents in Germany in December, and so they will be amplifying that message. We have two media that will be coming into Dominica. We have the Guardian newspaper who will be sending a film crew to Dominica on November 15th to the 22nd. And this film is going to be a presenter-led documentary, which is looking at the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, but also at the country as a whole and how it is bouncing back from disaster. And they intend to speak to Dominicans on the island's natural assets, its people, the tourism industry, the Kalinago, and others. And so as part of the film office, which sits under the Discover Dominica Authority, we host a number of press. And so the Guardian newspaper will be sending down a film crew come Wednesday. And also German public TV should have been in today, but due to some transportation issues, they'll be in tomorrow. And that's ARD TV, public TV. They're expected in also to do a documentary on the impacts of Hurricane Maria, specifically as it relates to the impacts on the ecology of the country and how the tourism stakeholders have impacted there. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, and take a look at DominicaUpdate.com and some of the information that I have provided to you there. We will start to place on the website from today and on a continuous basis. Thank you much.